Clavin, my man, another episode of Mark My Bird. It feels like it's been a while since we've recorded. We've both been busy. It's been an incredible summer, but what have you been up to, buddy?
Well, I've been living phoneless for the past couple of days because when we were setting this podcast up, I accidentally dropped my phone in a boiling water pot where I was making eggs. So it's actually been very nice. It's been a lot more relaxing the past few days. I'm thinking about tossing my phone into boiling water for good.
What's going on with your phone? Like, what happens when you drop an iPhone in boiling water?
The audio is very delayed. The picture kind of gets a little shaky.
Okay.
I would not suggest putting a phone in there for al dente.
What is al dente?
I don't think it means like kind of crispy, kind of cooked, a little bit crispy still. That's when like your noodles are still supposed to be a little hard.
Oh, all right.
I'm not a chef.
You're definitely not a chef, Mark.
Should we get into our guest, I guess?
You're damn right we should. I'm fucking fired up for this one.
We published his first photo in print just a few years ago. He is a lifelong Minnesota sports fan, and he is the best chess player I've ever seen. Personally, he kicks my ass in about 2 moves, and I have no chance. He's heavily involved in the TDI crew. He's an up-and-coming staple of the Burton team, so much so that he was actually part of designing a board this past year, the Barkeeper, I believe, right?
Burton Barkeeper, yeah. Right.
First ever 3D spoon nose board that I know that is used mostly on rails. I'm pretty interested actually talking about that. But yeah, he's one of the tallest guys also, I think, in snowboarding. What else you got to add to this?
Phenomenal golfer from what I hear. I don't know from experience because I'm not into golf, but I did interview him for our interview issue for Snowboard magazine this year. And it did revolve heavily around golf. So I think he's got a pretty damn good swing. And I personally think he's one of the most affable, likable, just smiley human beings in snowboarding, and everyone loves having him around.
Yeah, I think this will be an easy episode. I think everyone's going to enjoy. He's a pro in the interview circuit, so this one will be easy. Welcome to the podcast, Rob Roethler.
There he is. He's connected to audio. There he is.
Oh.
Looking sharp. Open collar. See, you got the memo. It's summertime now. It's open collar.
Dude.
Exactly. Summer shirts, baby.
Man, look at those lapels just flying.
Dude, I can't figure out how to get this to come through my headphones though now.
That's because you're dealing with Skull Candy and they're not a advertiser yet. So damn, they need to kind of get on that.
That's awesome.
He's like, I'm not saying anything about my newest sponsor. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, no comment on that.
Where do you find yourself today? Where are you?
Back in Salt Lake City, home. I just had about 24, 25 days on the road, so it's very good to be home.
It looks like you're in the lobby of a Marriott with those blinds behind you.
It's actually the crib.
Ooh, Peloton. Wow.
But yeah, some very fashionable blinds in the back.
All right, wait. So you're 27 now. That means you were like 24 when you had your first published photo in Snowboard Mag. So
yeah. Was that the hand plant?
Yeah, Blotto hand plant. Yeah.
That was, I believe, my first photo shoot, I think, with Burton. And I was super hyped on that.
Yeah. So 24 is a pretty like late start to the career. Were you in school? Like, did you go to school, get a degree kind of thing, or what?
Yeah. I finished school, finished my degree, and I finished in 2019. And I almost dropped school because I was like, oh, I need to film a video part. Second semester senior year, I'm like, Mom, I got to drop out. And she's like, all right, bet, like all good. And that fucked me up so bad that I just like, all right, I'm going back to school. Like, word, my bad. I can't even believe I said that. So the reverse psychology worked, Mom, in case you're listening.
But by our analytics, I don't think your mom's listening, but maybe she'll listen to this one. So yeah.
But then, yeah, I graduated in 2019, started working in my field. I graduated a marketing degree and then started working for a digital marketing company, ad agency, which I actually really liked. COVID happened, lost my job, car broke down, evicted from my house. And then I got the call from Burton. Day after I told my parents I was just going to quit snowboarding.
Damn.
Wow.
This is starting to make sense to me, right? You're a very like digitally social media savvy young pro snowboarder you worked at a digital marketing agency. That kind of adds up. Like, you know what you're doing.
I straight up had spreadsheets on about TikTok just because I was like, dude, I was broke as fuck living in my mom's house. Just trying to like make as much money as possible. I was working like 3 jobs, 3 or 4 at the same time, depending on if you want to count TikTok. But like, I would get home and I would study what works, like what sounds, what types of videos, like how long are these videos, and just would track everything. And I would be posting a bunch of random bullshit and like, just like, okay, what worked here? Did this work? And like, I should try and find the spreadsheet, but it was pretty stupid how much stuff I was keeping track of. But I was like very serious, taking it super serious, and like trying to look at it from like a marketing standpoint from, you know, from the level of education I had in the field. I'm like,
yeah,
all right, like let's math this out, right? You know, how do we make this work? And finally that one video got traction, because I'm thinking, okay, well, if TikTok blows up, because it seems like everyone's blown up on TikTok right now, if this blows up, I might be able to make more money. And sure enough, you know, it worked. So I was willing to look like a fucking idiot and do dumb shit to see if it worked, because I was broke as hell and needed to do anything. Because I mean, I was willing to do anything because I love snowboarding and wanted to do anything to stay in the field.
Now, admittedly, I don't have TikTok. I don't actually understand like how the app works and whatnot, but take me through, like, for the listeners that haven't seen it. It's like iconic in TikTok lore. Now it backflip, middle finger, camera pointed right at you. What was the next like 1 or 2 days after that? What was the reaction to that? And how many like likes and shares, or however TikToks work?
Yeah.
TikTok work.
So that was bonkers. Because it started out, I originally did the whole thing just so I could get the thumbnail of me like, you know, just in the air, because I was going to send it to like Reed and Benny just as a joke, like Selfie Olympics style. Benny started this shit called Selfie Olympics way back in the day at Troll Hoggeted shit, when he took a selfie, like duck face selfie with Kyle Kennedy, I think, on El Toro. And I was like, oh, this is hilarious. Like, I love this idea. So I just wanted to get the Selfie Olympics photo. And I posted just the photo, and Reed's like, bro, we need to see the video. Like, are you joking? And so I'm like, all right, well, I'm not posting that shit on Instagram because it's cringe as hell. And so I'll post it on TikTok and see what happens. And posted it with that sound. I think it was like 500K to 1 million views in a day.
Holy
and then in the first day. And then it was another million, or I think it was like 2 million the next day. And then probably another 500 to 1 million for the next few days. Because it's at like 8 million views. I think there's like 2 million likes or something. And I was getting 10,000 followers a day for a week.
How much do you attribute like the marketing background and kind of all that to your success in snowboarding? Is that like a huge chunk, you'd say?
A huge chunk for sure. And not only just in like the social media aspect, but in like the agenting myself, selling myself, professional selling sense. Like I remember, of course, we had called professional selling in college, and being able to like understand value and, you know, communicate value, and learning how to, I guess, have those conversations with buyers, whether it's a sponsor or a publisher or whatever. It's like, you need to understand how to leverage, you know, your value against their budgets, and how to, it's just this constant, like, you know, limbo that you're just kind of having to understand or just navigate, I guess.
And you still have to consistently pitch yourself, even though you're now pretty well established?
Always. And it just gets more comfortable, and then you get better at it, and it doesn't feel like you're pitching. It's more of just like a conversation, like, oh, like, okay, well, I did this last year, did this, hit these deliverables, I can do this, I'm this more valuable, my influence is gained by this much, so this is why I see this growth as, you know, this makes sense, right? So
it's
getting from being,
it's all about like visibility, right? And your visibility can be exponentially bolstered if you, as a snowboarder, understand how to simply create your own content. Not all the time, but when you don't have a filmer with you, when you don't have a photographer with you, if you understand that process, there is huge monetary value to a multitude of brands out there.
Big time. And I will say too that, right, like TikTok and my influence on TikTok is the reason why a lot of brands have reached out, for sure. Like that is, I'm sure, why Oakley reached out in the first place. Because until that happened, obviously I wasn't on their radar. And it was a PR person that, it's PR and relationships really that reached out to me. It wasn't team management at Oakley.
Yeah. See, I don't go on TikTok really either. So you're still doing TikTok all the time. You're hitting it real hard.
Hell no. As soon as I caught that window, it's so bad. I've got people telling me like, bro, you're so close to 100K. You're so close. Like, you just got to do this and that. And like GM Casto, Garrett, he lives in Utah and he's got millions of followers on TikTok, blew the fuck up. Him and his buddy Justin Ladner, I was just with them at X Games, and they're like, bro, like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, bro, like, I hate this shit, so I don't want to do it. And they're just like, dude, like, don't get it. Like,
it's gotten you to a point where you can kind of provide for yourself with snowboarding, and now you can just let your snowboarding take over and do it for you, but
that's the hope.
is there any monetary thing with TikTok, like YouTube? If you hit a certain amount of views, they pay you?
Yeah. So if you get, I think they really only pay like a cent per like 1,000 views or something. So you gotta hit millions of views to start getting like, anything sizable from TikTok. Like these people who have millions of followers, they're getting money. And I think a big way that people are making money on TikTok now is they'll get a big following, they'll go on TikTok Shop and just start making bullshit videos, like advertising random products, because those pay out stupid commissions, I'm pretty sure. So people have been making there. But it's an interesting landscape.
Now, in the chess world, is there anyone making a bunch of money on TikTok and chess? Because the last time we played, the game was over in about 3 texts back and forth on the phone. So.
Yeah, I can't remember if I hit you with the Fool's Gambit or not. I apologize if I did, but
I think you hit me with like 3 different games, and they were each over. And like I was like, yeah, I can play chess, and I can't, obviously, with you.
Dude, it's hard. I mean, the thing is though, it's just kind of like golf almost, whereas like you just have to practice, and there's so many like random things that you just don't know until you play enough.
Are you better at chess or golf?
Golf, for sure.
Holy shit.
Do you have a handicap? Do you know like where you're sitting at?
I played a good round yesterday, so it might have gone down, but let me check. I was at 7.7 yesterday when I checked.
Wow.
Still.
Who's the best professional snowboarder that you've played golf with?
I mean, Beresford's nasty, dude.
Yeah, he's good.
He's scratch. Brandon Davis is nuts. He beats me every time. I beat him once, I think, this year, and I was so hyped. Didn't let him live it down. See, I know Viz is out there hitting them. There's a lot of people. Oh, Mikey C too. He has the most beautiful high baby draw. Oh, yeah, I love watching that.
Bird, maybe we need to start playing golf, and then our podcast will be more successful. It sounds like that's like one of the keys.
I don't know if I have the shoulders for it. My shoulders are so fucked, that like I think a lot of it is in the muscle memory of your shoulders, and mine are
separate your ACs.
Both ACs, and then I've dislocated this one twice.
Oh yeah, he's got a good. He popped his shoulder out in Alaska. If you want to give the people that story, that one's pretty good.
Yeah. First I was shooting a photo up at Woodward Park City of Jeremy Jones doing a wall ride. And I got a little too close. Jeremy ran into me. I put my arm down, dislocated my shoulder. 3 weeks later, I go back up to Alaska, and I was like playing it pretty mellow because I didn't want anything to happen. And then there was this, semi-steep, pretty wide open coulee, and I was just ripping down this coulee, and I hit some like total shit snow, ragdoll, shoulder comes out. Couldn't ride down, so they had to tow the heli in, and like the homie was just hanging there while the guide, I grabbed onto the seatbelt buckle, and the guide, she was like 5'2" at the most, pushed me with all of her might into the heli, and then closed the door, and then the guy peeled off, and I got it reset. in the heli lodge, in the kitchen, and then was done for the trip.
Just laying on the table, take a shot of whiskey and pop it back in.
Yeah.
Sounds terrible.
But it was nice in the sense that it was free healthcare. Never got a bill for it. So that was pretty cool.
I mean, if someone can reset your shit right away, always take it. Oh my God. Because the longer it stays out, the worse it gets, harder it is to get back in. Like,
since you technically have more surface area than the average snowboarder, do you get injured more than the average snowboarder?
Probably. I mean, I feel like I might get more banged up. I wouldn't say injured. I think my flexibility through my length honestly helped save me from a lot of stuff. I'm also my knees hyperextend. So like if I were to like lay down and put my knees flat on the ground, my heels come up like 15 degrees.
No way.
Both legs always have.
Is that from snowboarding, or is that just how it's always been?
Always been like that.
Oh, okay.
Have you gotten a worse?
And so if you notice a worse injury, Sam?
No, I was just going to say, have you had a worse injury from golf or from snowboarding? Because I know, people throw their backs out.
On Mark.
Dude, if you're fucking your body up on the golf course, you're doing something so wrong.
I've only gotten fucked up on the golf course.
He's not talking White Claws, Mark. He's talking about injuries to your body, not your liver.
Yeah. My liver shot.
I see.
There is like a direct tie from snowboarding to golf. I mean, in the pro snowboard world, Aero Niemela is like a PGA professional now. I think Nick Hamilton is like a really big photographer in golf. Chad Chomlak shoots a ton of golf. There's so many snowboarders. Red Gerard is big into it. There are a lot of snowboarders who kind of decompress with golf. And I can see why, right? It's like we're traveling nonstop. You're throwing your body off crazy shit. You're dealing with injury. You're dealing with sponsor obligations. Golf seems like something that I could get into in the sense that you're just kind of walking around outside and it's beautiful and you're swinging a club trying to perfect a craft, right?
I mean, it's
just
like
keep that stress level high in the summer. It's like, yeah, don't have to worry about landing a clip, but let's get really stressed about a little white ball going into a hole.
It's a challenge, right? It's a full body challenge. It's extremely difficult. It's frustrating as fuck. It's pretty much just like trying to do a really gnarly trick in the streets. It's going to take forever to do it perfectly. So it's just a really, really sweet challenge, but you don't have to be in the cold. You don't have to worry about hurting yourself. It might be a little expensive, but at the end of the day, like it's probably not as expensive to go play around as it is to go buy a new, snowboard or
right.
I mean,
or
it's probably not. It's not as expensive to play around as it is to ride for one day at a Vail resort.
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking about. I was like, dude, the barrier to entry is actually bonkers in snowboarding. Like the fact that you can go and play golf for cheaper is insane.
Yeah, you go play like a municipal course and you can buy a set of clubs, not amazing clubs, for $150
I was a broke college student and I got into golf. Like there's just no excuse anymore. Like
are you a cart guy or are you hoofing it?
Dude, I'm so fucking lazy. I'm a cart guy.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is in Utah, you can't really walk most of these courses. Like I'm down to walk a chill course, but if it's, 4,000 feet elevation loss and gain, I'm not really trying to do all that.
You do that in the wintertime.
Dude, we hike enough, and if I'm already working out and skating outside of golf, like I really don't see the need. I definitely got super chirped yesterday morning. I was playing 18 at like 8 a.m. with my buddy, and we played through this group of like 6 old guys, and they're like, so you're telling me 2 young dudes are riding today? And I'm like, oh, like, yep. Like, was hoping you guys would give me a little shit about that, but not walking.
You're like, hang on, can I show you a quick TikTok? And it's just you doing the backflip with the middle finger. Hang on.
I've only played golf like 3 times, and one time we got kicked off the course after the second hole because we were taking so long. It was like this roller where the hole was like pretty far down this hill. So people were shooting over the hill, not seeing us. And somebody shot a ball, and my buddy, it landed on the green pretty close to us, much closer from our like 10 putts that we already missed. And he just turns around and smacks the ball back up the hill as hard as he can. And the course sheriff, or whatever you call him,
the course marshal,
was on us pretty quickly and asked us to leave.
You know what's funny? Mikey Cicerelli is a course marshal.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, if I was getting in trouble and Mikey Cicerelli came around the corner, I'd be like, "Oh, we're good."
Hey guys, you're gonna need to speed it up here. He's
Canadian course marshal.
Don't listen to me. They don't listen.
Canadian course marshal, that's got to be a tough job. They're too
Dude,
nice.
under the age of like 80 is hard. Like, no one listens to a course marshal that doesn't look scary, old, and angry.
Like, hey guys, I'm real sorry, but you're gonna have to speed it up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's sick, and I think he does that at Nick North, so he can play. It's a really good deal for him.
Do they call him course mounties up there? Does he ride a horse and wear a red little outfit?
God, I wish. That would be so dope. I would golf there more if he did.
I think all of snowboarding would go there.
Literally.
Let's talk airline status. You've been traveling a shitload the last few winters. Where you at? Are you platinum? Are you gold?
I missed gold by like a couple thousand, or excuse me, I missed platinum by a couple thousand miles last winter. So we're still hovering at gold, but I'm pretty sure we're on track this year for platinum.
All right. So Robbie's living lounge life. Yeah.
No doubt.
Biggest benefit of the lounge. I'm a big fan of the lounge. I'll talk lounge all day.
Honestly, I think it's pretty much completely shifted my focus on flying to enjoying the process rather than showing up, just getting it done, getting it over with. The lounge, you can get breakfast, you can have a drink, loosen yourself up before the flight. I'm a very nervous flyer, so it really does help me just get comfortable. Also 6'7", so I don't really fit into these seats at all. So it's also helpful to just overall comfort, get that level up.
Dude, get Burton and Skull Candy go first class. You need it for those legs, and you're an athlete. You need to be feeling good at all times.
You said it.
See, but the only thing that's wrong with lounges right now is that they're letting everybody in. Everybody's credit cards are now getting everyone in, and the lounges are just as busy as the airport.
You have to gatekeep.
Yep, I agree. I kind of want to start roots, right? You are a Midwestern kid, Minnesota, correct?
You got it. Yeah, just on the border of Minneapolis, a town called St. Louis Park.
And I'm biased because I absolutely love Minneapolis, St. Paul. Like, it's one of my favorite cities in the world. What are some of the really dope things about growing up in that area?
The lakes, unbeatable. Specifically uptown, it's always popping. A lot of fun stuff to do. Young people, really good skateboard scene. It's all around just pretty great. You can go about maybe 500 feet without seeing water in Minneapolis. So no matter what, it's easy. Once it gets too hot, which it does, it only gets to like 85, 80, maybe 90, but the humidity makes you want to die. So
how many pros have come out of your town specifically, not just the area?
My town?
Do you have any?
The only one that I know of is Jack Olson, and he's a skater.
Okay.
But like, if we're talking Highland or like the greater Minneapolis area, like Twin Cities area, that's a ton.
Yeah, no, I was just wondering. It's St. Louis Park, you said? Oh,
there he is. He's back.
There we are. So I think my Wi-Fi is dog shit. So I just switched to my personal hotspot. Should work out.
I think that's another thing you need to talk about your sponsors. You're doing a lot of interviews. I've seen you've already had a couple other podcasts. I think Burton and Skull Candy need to step up here and get this kid some Wi-Fi.
We're gonna have to, get all these things worked into these future contracts. I like where you're at.
Yeah, who's your agent?
Me. And this is why, Mark, the position's open. I need you. All right. Help me out, brother.
I was asking because we need an agent too. You have sponsors. We don't have sponsors.
Yeah. No agent. Kind of surprised I've made it this far without one. And it's becoming more and more needed for sure. So I'm looking.
I'm talking right now. I can see it right now. the Claygent. Let's go.
Agent.
Fucking do this. Trademark that name, start an LLC, and let's get you representing the homies.
Dude,
I'm kind of on right now with my nicknames. Pretty good.
So Rob, growing up, were you a traditional sports player at first? Did you play any of the soccers, the basketballs, the footballs, and then find skateboarding / snowboarding, or how did that kind of order unfold in your youth?
True. Yeah. 2 years. I mean, first thing I ever wanted to be was Tiger Woods. I think I was like 2 years old when I started swinging a club. And I was also 2 when I started playing t-ball. I started loving baseball immediately, and that kind of drowned out golf because everyone just play. I mean, there were just way more people that played baseball than golf at the age of like 7. So, I got pretty sucked into that. I played lacrosse. I played football. I played hockey even for a year. I also wrestled for a year. That shit was so gnarly.
Yeah. I've always been told never, ever pick a fight with a wrestler. Ever.
No, seriously. Like, it's not worth it. You can try and punch them. They're just probably going to go and high crotch you, and like, you're going to be in the air, and head's going to be on the ground. You're not going to know what happened. So, yeah.
I always wanted to be the intro guy for high school wrestling matches. Like, for you, you'd be like the 6'7" menace from Minnesota. Just that's all I see. That's why I didn't go far in that. Sorry. All right. That was pretty good.
So when did the first, what's your first kind of memory of like the exposure of skateboarding culture, snowboarding culture, and what about it kind of drew you in and was attractive to you?
Right away, I had some neighbors, Casey and Josh Steinbach, who lived just down the road, and they were skaters, and they had like an extra skateboard they hooked me up with when I was like 6. So I started riding the thing, really obviously just fell in love with it right away. But realized quickly that I was garbage at skating and that I couldn't figure out how to get the thing to like, come up with my feet. So I'm like, it'd be way easier if I strap my feet to this thing. And I was like, snowboarding, I'll try that. And so, yeah, about a few years of begging my mom to let me snowboard, because obviously she didn't know how to teach me. She's a skier and knew it was like all new gear. So it was just so expensive. Like, wasn't really the first thing my mom wanted to just like throw me into. But, turned 7, did, no motivation to snowboard had wavered. So they were like, all right, yeah, we'll do this thing.
Yeah, but you already had a one-up if they were already out on the mountains as skiers. That's pretty cool. Did you grow up skiing then?
Yeah, so my mom got me on skis when I was 3. So I was already, I was on the leash, right? Pizzaing in front of mom. Like, it was pretty sick.
And now you're designing your own snowboard. Been a long trip.
Yeah, wow. Never really thought about it that way, but yeah.
Yeah, I want to chat a little bit about that process, and for those listening, you'll definitely be able to read about it in the issue 1 of Snowboard Mag this year, because Rob and I talked about it. But I feel like here we can go a little bit more in depth. Was it, and maybe this is just me thinking about having this opportunity, was it overwhelming when the idea came up of like, hey, we want you to develop a snowboard? Personally, for me, it'd be super overwhelming because I don't know a shitload about how a snowboard works and what affects responsiveness and different camber profiles. What was that process like for you?
I was excited, honestly. I feel like it's every kid's dream that wants to be a pro snowboarder to like make their own snowboard. Granted, I didn't have like full control, right? Like, they wanted me to make a springboard. So I did my absolute best to do that, with all of like my input in mind. So it obviously still very much was like my design, but yeah, no, I think I've just kind of prepared myself for it my whole life. So it was just so exciting that I, right away, I'm like, okay, let's go. Like, let's get the sketches going. Who am I talking to? What can we do? And just like ideating with the brand was, like I said, dream come true.
And how many people are involved in that process, right? Like, how many total were you kind of chatting with at Burton about the board?
I personally spoke, I believe, with at least 3 or 4 people directly about design, whether it be graphic, or just, the process of engineering the board. And I know that those people all had to go and turn and work with probably another team of people to do each of those things. So I can't imagine how many people were truly behind the whole process, but I would guess at least 10 to 15 people were all working on it.
So who came up with the idea to put a 3D 3D tail on a like park board? Because that's really not done that often.
That was me and one of the designers. We kind of just came up with the idea together because I had thought about, I think, a little bit of spooning the board, and he was like, "Oh, yeah, we can do this," or he might have just been like, "Oh, so do you have any 3D ideas?" And I was like, "Oh, well, actually, like this might allow us to be able to lift the effective edge right at the end of the snowboard, like nose tail,
Yep.
and get it out of the snow a little easier, right?" So then we just kind of started ideating there, and then I thought about this like tail scoop idea, which it works. I thought it would look a little different, but I love it. I was just really excited to see something different and refreshing more than anything. And also something that would kind of work throughout the whole mountain, not just on your rails or whatever, like something that would still be effective in POW and slush. So
does it help locking into like a tail press more, or is it tougher, or is there a different feeling?
Press, but what you can do is like, if I were to go up a pipe wall and do like a frontside 50-50 on the pipe, which is so fun. I don't know if you guys ever run that up. I saw Gabe Ferguson hitting some nasty ones at Mount Hood this summer, but even just running up and like 5-0ing, coping on a pipe, but like really pressing into it, it gives you that locking feeling of like a 5-0 on a skateboard. It's not as much on like a normal 5-0 because unless you're absolutely gassing it, but it's more so I was really just had in mind like riding a slushy pipe and wanting to like drag tail.
Have you had the opportunity to organically see someone else riding it? And if so, what does that feel like?
I actually don't know if I have seen other people ride it other than my buddy Joe Total. He texted me about, I was like, dude, I want brutal truth, no bullshit. Tell me if this board sucks. Like, I need to know. Like, I don't care. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Just like, tell me what's good with it. And he immediately texts me back, like full paragraph. He's like, spent all day trying to find something I didn't like, couldn't. Was laying trench heel side, never turned like that in my life. It was pressing right, road rails perfect, jumping held true. I was just like, all right, perfect. Well, we did it.
And that's, to me, I feel like if I were at your skill level on a snowboard, to me, that would almost be the hardest part, because when you're making a snowboard, I would assume you're not making it for someone that's as good as you. You're making it for the mass general public, who's probably a 3 out of 10 when you're a 9 out of 10, right? So how do you walk that fine line of being like, it needs to perform for me doing what I do, but it also has to perform for, Joe Smith, who's going up to Mount Hood Meadows every Saturday?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I almost kind of disregarded the need for a board to be more playful or soft or maneuverable for, the Joe Schmo, because I feel that a big part of the reason why a lot of these snowboarders don't end up making effective skill sets is because they're not taught to snowboard properly in the first place. And in order to do that, you need to be using your entire body, forcing the board and everything into its turns, and not just like barely being, engaging certain edges or whatever, because you're just not used to using your whole body yet. And so I wanted it to be a little bit softer, so it's still maneuverable, but wider. No choice. It's got to be wider. It's much more difficult, obviously, to turn on a wider snowboard. But from what I've learned is that my snowboarding has gotten better when I went to wider snowboards when I was younger, because it forces you to understand, leaning over your edges and understanding how to displace weight in different ways. And it just forces you to snowboard better. And so I think that was kind of more important to me than appealing to everybody, because I feel like I wanted to make something that was right for everyone, whether they liked it or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Right now in snowboarding, actually, I want to hit you with this question. If you could film for a full day on any street feature, we're talking like rail to bank, rail to drop, down flat down, whatever it may be. What would be your like dream feature for a session?
Wow, that's a really good question.
Thank you.
Dude, I love transfer rails. Any style of transfer, there's just so many things you can do. Regular switch, depending on which way you want to transfer. Do you want a board slide? Do you want a 50? Spicy, dangerous. I love that. I'm starting to really like wall rides though. So maybe wall rides in there. I mean, wall ride to rail. If we're talking like favorite though, just to like film on and have fun, if it's just like, oh, like thank God we're going to this spot, right?
Yeah, just the classic, like your like security blanket in the streets, right? Like I love this. This is what I want to ride.
I mean, there's nothing beats like a 30 stair down bar.
Yeah.
Like it feels so good to press one of those out or to lip pretzel or something like that. It's just fun. It's a party spot usually. Everyone can jump on it. There's no dibs or any bullshit like that. So yeah, honestly, man, nothing really beats a down bar.
And then dream session, right? Say you find that dream feature. You can choose any 5 snowboarders on earth to hit that street feature with. Who would you want to ride? Who would you want to ride with?
5 of them. I mean, Tommy G for sure.
Let's go. Yes.
Energy, always fun to watch. Dude beats Steel up. I mean, it's funny too. Like I think about his presses on that quad kink from Tommy G Park Footy, and it's like I could watch literally just those presses all day long.
Yeah.
Wow, Dylan. I'd have to bring Dylan back for that. Let's see. Oh, this is so hard. I think Whiff for sure too. Just sheer beat down level. It'd be so fun. Damn,
3. You got 2 more.
That's a good 3. You're off to an amazing start.
Trying to think. I think honestly Joe Sexton too, because watching him ride skinny down bars and quad kinks and God knows what, like that's a big part of what made me want to snowboard. So having that session with him would be really sick. And I kind of want to go wild card with the last one. I think it would have to be one of the Scandos.
Yeah.
Something like Haldor or Fridge. Something to just be like so electric. Holy shit, I have no idea what's going on. That's a snowboard trick. What? Like that energy, I think would be really fun to mix in with all that.
Maybe like a Rene.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Dude, that's a killer 5. That's Mark. We might have to make that a question for every podcast guest. Like if it's whether it's backcountry or street or park or whatever it may be. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh man, I'd love to hear what backcountry riders have to say to that too, and see if they kind of, switch it up and have different style riders in there.
Just for the record, what size snowboard do you ride?
I mean, it depends. I'm on right now. My park board's a 165 wide, but I'm gonna bump that up to a 169 wide this year. It's just a little short, but then like the daily driver is a 170 wide custom.
When you're riding at events and stuff, do kids come up to your snowboard kind of like how kids go up to like NBA players' hands and just put their hands up to it and be like, I could never do this. They just see this massive board in front of them, be like, yeah, this is a boat.
Yeah. As long as Zeb's not there with his 205, they're pretty stoked.
Yeah. I was just going to ask what size that board actually was. 205.
It's taller than me.
Yeah, that's unreal. Well, that's actually a really nice little transition because I want to talk a little bit about TDI Crew. Hand it over to you. I think it's one of the coolest things going in snowboarding. I know y'all have like huge plans for it, but let's chat a little bit about what's going on with the TDI Crew.
Right now we are just in the works of kind of budgeting and getting everything dialed for this winter. But our plans are to film a TDI movie, and I'm more stoked for that than I think I have for just about anything I've done, whether it be like filming at least in snowboarding. So I think we're doing something really cool. It's a group of all black snowboarders, and we just got each other's back like JanSport. It is so cool to just have this new community, I think, coming up in snowboarding. And I mainly we just really want to do something to contribute to snowboarding as a whole and make a really, really sweet movie. So that is kind of our grind for this winter. Last winter, we were doing a lot of events. We held the first an inclusivity event in Europe ever at Meyerhofen, which was super, super fun. I got to have a lot of intermingling with, you know, the Euro riders and just Europe scene in general. There were a lot of people from the UK that were able to come out for that, which is really cool. So just kind of quickly becoming, you know, known worldwide, which is really, really special. I think there's a lot of people of color that I know have reached out to all of us and, you know, felt welcomed by this new community that is in snowboarding. So
And I should have clarified this for our listeners. TDI is technically doing it.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I should have said that too.
No, we both should have. We're just so we know about it, but that is it's so dope. It's such a cool thing y'all got going on Instagram at technically doing it with a G.
And
Who else?
as well, as far as like everyone always talking shit about snowboarding and social media and how like that ruined a lot of you know, full-length movie projects and all that stuff. Technically doing it almost wouldn't be possible without social media, just because like it blew up. It kind of, I'm sure it's much easier to connect from everyone, like you're saying, worldwide. Like people can see this group doing what they're doing, going to different places, like, you know, taking up space is what, you know, everyone says, just like just showing out. Like it's pretty insane. And that's one of the huge benefits of social media, I would say, because every year it seems like you guys are growing. Like it started as like, you know, one kind of event that what Lou wanted to do. And then it just kind of kept getting bigger and bigger. And now, yeah, what was the last trip you guys went on?
Yeah, started in Innsbruck and then went to Locks from there. But I mean, you know, held our inclusivity event, rode my Arvin for another day, stayed in Innsbruck, and then we all moved up to Locks, which was such a shit show. If you can imagine this whole crew trying to navigate themselves from Innsbruck to Locks, like it was probably worse. Like homies not getting on the train, like homies freaking just it was awesome.
How many dollars were spent at the Rocks bar down at the base of Locks?
Dude, honestly, not that much. We were pretty surprised. We didn't really get very good weather. It was a bummer, like huge bummer. We had 3 hours of sunlight in the 2 weeks that we were in Europe. So it was pretty tough.
But didn't you guys also just have a camp recently too? Like you teamed up with one of the summer camps this summer?
Oh yeah, so the Lou just came out to Woodward and we did a little TDI meetup for camp as well. At Woodward. Yeah.
How many strong is in the crew now?
Dude, it's got to be like 20 something.
Yeah.
So
that's insane.
Yeah, we're so fired up. And like we just had a huge group go to Winter Park too, right after Culture Shifters, I think in like April, May. And that was just one of the most exciting sessions I've ever had. We started with a sunset jump session, then we go up to the pipe. You know, we're getting ripped up into snowmobiles. Like first time I'm ever getting sled laps on a jump or anything too. So it's just like to do it with those guys was really special. But that segment should be in the Warren Miller film, actually.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so we're really excited to see what happens with that. I just got to see some of the footage from it too, and it's looking pretty sweet.
I pride myself on knowing a ton about snowboarding. I didn't know Warren Miller was making a movie this year. That's awesome.
So I think we're going to be a part of like their ski film, and we're just going to be at the end, and it's going to be like, oh yeah, and then there's black snowboarding. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. But yeah.
You guys are changing the game so much that you get the ender of a ski film. That's pretty impressive.
Like,
that's so rad. I want to flip real quick because I know you're a huge sports fan. Vikings, right? You are
big time. Skull, baby.
Very passionate about the Vikings.
These are right here.
Oh, let me see that.
Personalized TP, is that tailor-made? What kind of
tailor-made Vikings colors all the way?
Okay, all right.
Are you sure you don't have an agent?
You know, you would think so. I do a good job for myself, but
I see you on like Oakley golf trips and stuff. Like you're doing pretty well.
I don't do terrible, that's for sure.
All right, let's chat quickly about some football stuff. The Kirk Cousins ordeal. Where do you stand on that? They shipped him to Atlanta. They went all in on JJ McCarthy. Where are you at with it as a Vikings fan?
I'm down with it. They couldn't pay Kirk. It's the reality of the situation. I love Kirk. He proved himself over the years. Definitely hated him right away. I can't sit here and act like I didn't have videos of me cursing his name after losses. But I'm sad to see him go. And I know that he had serious chemistry with Justin Jefferson and the rest of the wide receivers. So, but it's scary. I have faith in the Vikings, though. We're a great organization, always have been.
For any disclaimer for anyone listening that does not give a shit about that portion of the podcast, I am with you. The NFL takes up way too much time in sports talk. It's the NBA finals, and like halfway through a game, they cut out and they're like, oh, there might be a trade of this quarterback to this team. Nobody cares.
Mark, I would be saying the same thing if I were a Cleveland Browns fan. Trust me. So anyway,
Myles Garrett is the highest rated. I was just doing this as a service to everyone listening. I think we beat the Vikings this year. Last year, I don't really care or know.
Stop.
Okay, on something that's actually topical and going on right now, are you also a Minnesota Twins fan?
I gave up being a Minnesota Twins fan when Justin Warneau and Joe Mauer left me like 10 people before I was going to get my autograph or their autograph signed when I was like 10. So
Sean White did that to me too, but I still gotta be a fan of him.
Act like there isn't a little beef though. I know you got that chip on your shoulder still.
Hang on, go. I want to rewind, Clavin. Sean denied you an autograph?
Yeah,
man. I was like, I don't know, 10 or 11, maybe 12, 13. I might have been 18. It could be an embarrassing age. I was at like the Dew Tour in Cleveland, Ohio, epicenter of sports. And he was
3 years ago.
It was really recent. No, it was when Sobe was still making a lot of moves in action sports.
Okay.
But he was on the side of the vert ramp kind of practicing, and like I was right next to him, and I had a little Burton belt at the time, and I was like, hey, can you sign this? And he literally just looks right at me, and then he just looks away. He wasn't even riding. He didn't have like a helmet on. It's not like he was like, oh no, I got to lock in. He just looked at me and then just looked away. I was like, one day.
I'm actively trying to get him on the podcast to talk about this Snow League stuff. So you better believe that's coming up.
Oh, for sure.
TikTok, dude. I'll fucking message him. It's all good.
Yeah, TikTok star over here. Louis Vito did the same thing to me. So, also, just to get back to mainstream sports for one last thing, top 100 athletes of the 21st century. Oh my God.
Justin Jefferson.
Top 100 athletes of the 21st century came out. Michael Phelps is on top. Do we agree?
Oh,
fuck no. What the hell, bro?
I mean, he's a fellow tall guy. Do you ever get in the pool, do a little swimming?
Nah, I guarantee you I got 4 inches on that dude. He is not that tall.
I'm just looking at it like you're talking athlete, right? You're gonna pass out.
What I say? 3 inches, 4 inches. He's 6'4". Man, short. Continue.
You're gonna pass on Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, right? You're gonna pass on
21st century.
Yeah,
that's 2000 and above.
I just I don't understand why we're comparing people that like are washed up and are not still kicking ass and like pushing progression to like people who literally like tail end of that century. Like, bro.
Is he also though? Is he a Minnesota guy originally? Just wondering. Does anybody know? Nobody even cares enough about swimming.
Nah, he's from Baltimore.
Oh yeah, he's Maryland. At least I had an M.
Real quick, Rob, speaking of Justin Jefferson, have you watched Receiver on Netflix?
Dude, just started watching it. So hyped on it. It's really good.
So good.
Serena Williams is number 2.
Okay, well now that kind of changes.
That makes more sense.
Because I definitely either misunderstood or overlooked 21st century. Because I was thinking back to like, Carl Lewis and, like old 80s Olympians and shit like that. So 21st century, that's a different discussion for a different day. But I still think Messi needs to be top of the list.
Yes, Serena, Messi, and LeBron are 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Then, yeah, I back it because those 3 are, 21st century.
I don't back Phelps at all. I definitely back the Williams, though. I was just watching Breakpoint, too. Is that the one with the Williams sisters, or is that separate?
I don't know. I watched the King Richard with the guy that slapped the other guy.
No, Breakpoint is the Netflix like behind the scenes series about tennis. It's really good too. Super good.
It's okay. It's about tennis. It's not about Serena and Venus specifically. I watched that, and that's with Will Smith.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that shit's amazing. But it also it helps you understand like the leaps and bounds that Serena and Venus made in not only themselves but in their sport. Also just for their community. And so I think that does have something to do with it, right? Like it's a whole
100%.
different thing when you get an entire different community to start participating in something that they've never participated in before. I think that is, that's, you can encompass that in someone's like wholeness as an athlete. But like Phelps,
what about Tiger?
Okay, wait, before we get into that, can you guess
in there? Like, the most dominant athlete of all time. Like,
Also,
guess what number Tiger is?
He literally reinvented the entire persona of a sport and culture. So,
Right, Tiger is in the top 10. Where do you think they placed him?
Like
10.
I'm gonna say 9.
He's 8.
Okay.
There's a big name that's in 5. He's football. You're in love with him. Yeah, Tom Brady's 5. Roger Federer's 6. Simone Biles 7. Usain Bolt 9, and then Kobe's 10.
Okay. What about Mahomes?
Mahomes is I'm not seeing him. Curry's 14. Cristiano Ronaldo's 13. Another swimmer, KatieLedecky's 15. Dude, swimming only matters once every 4 years.
To you.
And to anyone that I guess is almost drowning or on a boat. Then
I bet people say that about snowboarding too. They're like, snowboarding only matters once every 4 years.
That is. Do we think Shaun White made the list?
Ooh, great question.
I don't think he did.
I don't think he did.
Dude, I don't know. He was pretty big.
Yeah.
Skate and snow.
Maybe actually, but I think he's going to be lower.
Yeah, I would put him in like the 60s and on.
Shaun White, 72.
72.
Oh, nice.
He's right above Mookie Betts and right below Manny Pacquiao.
Wow, he's in rarefied air.
I guess this isn't the most ridiculous list, but I can't imagine how they went about ranking it.
Yeah, it's all so subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Kylian Mbappe beat him. Mia Hamm beat him. I'm just going to go through all the people that beat Shaun White. Shohei Ohtani, Ray Lewis, Candace Parker,
Ray Lewis,
J.J. Watt, Mariano Rivera, Calvin Johnson. Oh, Calvin Johnson, big snowboarder as well.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
We've reached out before to do interviews with him, but he's like, I'm Megatron. I don't need any of this.
I was just going to he's Megatron, if that's one and the same.
Yeah.
Is there a better nickname in the history of any sport than Megatron? I don't think so.
No.
If he has children and they have children, my grandpa name is Megatron. Like, no question. I'm already thinking about what mine's gonna be if my daughter ever chooses to have children. I think it's gonna be like Death Star. Like, I'm not going grandpa. I'm going like something gnarly.
Darth Bird.
Darth Bird is pretty good. I'll add that to the list. It's the opportunity that you've earned through parenting to completely rebrand yourself, is the way I'm looking at this. And my wife thinks I'm crazy, but I think it's pretty legit.
I love it. I'm kind of feeling like a Sith Lord vibe. Yeah. I was dressing like a Sith Lord for all last month at camp.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I got a clickbait article we can write. Michaela Schifrin beats Shaun White by 30 spots on the list of top 100 athletes of the 21st century.
That's so good.
Yeah, I hadn't looked at this before. This is pretty funny.
Speaking, that kind of reminds me. Speaking of Snow League and X Games League and all this talk of,
let's talk.
All signs are currently pointing toward street snowboarding in the Olympics. Is this a good thing, Rob? Is it a bad thing? Would you be down? Does it make sense? Let's unpack this a little bit.
We are going everywhere. We have not done a podcast in a while, so we are very sporadic. Let's hear them.
Yeah.
That's how they should be. That's where it's at.
I'm first of all calling bullshit there is no way they're going to put snowboarding or street snowboarding in the Olympics. And if they do, it's going to be so structured that it won't be street snowboarding. So in that alone, it will never exist in the Olympics. That'd be dope. But like at the same time, what are they going to do for a qualification? And if the qualification's worth it, are all the contest kids not just going to go and do it? I'm all for sending the people that are going to do the best. I get it. It's the Olympics. We're supposed to go and try and win medals for our country. But it's just like, why do we want to bring something into it that like people who do it don't even want to partake in it? I could imagine there are going to be some street snowboarders that would love to do it. I mean, I think about it and I'm like, okay, well, I feel like Pat Fava should be in that shit for sure. But then is it going to be him versus like, you know, God knows, like, I mean, Luke obviously is a street snowboarder, so I don't want to go straight to say Luke, but is he going to have to compete against like a Sebastian Touton, who hasn't filmed this part in a long time, but can do like rodeo 5 onto a rail, you know? And to each their own. There's different styles of snowboarding. I think Seb is a legend, and it's really sick that he can do all that stuff. But I mean, you know, core score is not hyped on a flip onto a rail. And you know that the rest of the street snowboarding world is going to be butthurt if there's like a bunch of contest snowboarders that are filling up all the spots. So I think it's going to cause so much turmoil, honestly. And I don't think it's going to be presented the way that we all want it to be.
Well, obviously,
I think
it would be governed by FIS, right? Which is a bunch of skiers. That's problem number one. But is there a way to get the true street snowboarders involved, in the sense that maybe you write a rule book and you're like, yo, there's no flipping onto rails. There's no flipping off of rails. Because there is a very fine line. I've seen it for a long time. There's a fine line between when a rail jam turns into a slope style. Like one person finds some booter and does a double backflip over the rail. And, you know, I'm announcing the event and I'm like, well, there goes the farm. You know, this just turned into a crowd pleasing, like big air or slope style, right? So I wonder if there's a way, and again, FIS would never do this, but if there's a way to involve the right people and have a kind of coming up with the course and the structure and the rule book.
First of all, I like you blowing into the microphone. That's a great way to just shut people up. Because it just cuts off their audio, just like
shut up my computer, my bad.
But I would also say, Bird, you're talking to a man that has one of the most viral backflips of all time in snowboarding on TikTok.
Oh my God, God.
You know, you're obviously you're not a role model because you flicked off the children in your clip.
Oh my God, yeah, I'm pretty saw the comments. Holy shit.
But then I would also add, I think just getting onto the rope on a busy day on Highland could also potentially be an Olympic qualifier or an Olympic event.
Yeah, my 2 cents on that is that, like, why the fuck is there a rule book if we're talking about street snowboarding?
Good point. Yep.
Why the fuck are there rules? Why is there any type of, and it's just like, that shit's art anyway. So it's really hard to put a score on that. I mean, T-Funk said it best when talking about skating in the Olympics. It's like, you can't put points on someone's style. Like, Benny's back 3 on is a lot different than Reed's back 3 on, and they're both great for different reasons, and trying to say that one's better than the other is annoying as fuck.
Yeah, but imagine Kevin Hart and Snoop Dogg doing the doing that NBC Olympic show, and they're like, all right, we're gonna bring on an expert in the street snowboarding world, Lucas Magoon, come on in and talk about this for us all. And then he's the expert. Bob Costas has to talk to Lucas Magoon. I would pay a lot of money to see that.
Thank you, Mr. Dog. Thank you, Mr. Hart.
And I agree, but that's also the case of like, all right, well, we're in the industry and we give a shit and understand snowboarding. Like, a layman is going to be like, who's Magoon?
If you could pick one star, how like Colin Yost is going to be announcing surfing for this upcoming Olympics in Tahiti. If you could pick one extremely famous person to be like the announcer for a snowboarding contest, who would it be?
Damn.
Wow.
Like, who would be calling your run? You got like Matthew McConaughey being like, all right, here he comes.
That's a really good question.
All right. Backed up 10. All right. Yeah.
He's not on a Lincoln. He's on a Burton, but it's okay.
Dude. Who would that be? I I feel like it'd have to be something like a Morgan Freeman. Just like the power of God, pretty much God's voice, just be like, yes. And that was
everyone's just tearing up.
Ever seen in your life. Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's just crying, watching Red come down the hill. Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious.
But it's like, otherwise you could say like something like Ozzy, Ozzy Osbourne. It's like, I want it to be as metal as it can be or some shit, like. It's a tough one. I think it depends on the scenario. Like if it was like a street jam, it'd be a little different than a slope jam.
That's true. Bird, who would you pick?
I mean, I might go with like a super wild card that would make for real good TV, like someone that could just go fully off the rails and make more people see it. So I might go like Shia LaBeouf or something. You never know. He might get like really drunk before the broadcast and just start screaming at someone, or maybe like a Joaquin Phoenix. Like I'd go wild card.
Okay, that sounds pretty good.
We chatted a bunch about next year. We can look forward to TDI movie. Any other plans in the works for immediate next winter?
I think that's the main thing. Yeah, that's really like the main thing in my focus right now. We've been talking about trying to get some form of TV going, or whether it be a show of some sorts. I know there's some rumors that have been going around about that. But I think, at least for me right now, I just want to focus on getting a movie filmed, something that matters, some really dope shit. It's just, I think that's what matters most for TDI right now. And I know that 90% of the group is in the same belief of that. So we're just going to focus up on this movie and get it done. I think we got a lot of really cool trips planned. So should have some good stuff coming.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome. What about like your career, next 5 years? Kind of like, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to take your snowboarding? And just, yeah.
I mean, I want to transition into the backcountry pretty bad. I'm going to be, I obviously still have work to do in the streets. Like I want to film a street part that I'm proud of and get the best footage that I could possibly film. And I know that, Lewis is a testament to, I'll probably never get there. So, I say it's like, I want to just kind of wrap up the street snowboarding so I can just be like, all right, bet. Sick video part. I'm hyped on it. Now I can focus on backcountry, because I really, more than anything, want to chuck some ass into some deep snow. And especially having done, a decent amount of risk maturity and avalanche safety now, I feel prepared. And it seems I have more fun when I'm in deep snow, and I really enjoy getting to go and adventure out of the backcountry. So that is my main focus, I think, looking forward into the next 5 years. Other than that, it's kind of just seeing how far we can go with TDI. I know we have a lot of really cool plans and things in the works, but I think that's we really just want to take that community to the next level and see exactly what we can do.
T-Bird and I have done some risk maturity stuff where I'm the risk and he's the maturity.
All right, that's it. Quit.
Terrible joke. I'm going to sign off now. No.
That's it. You're done. Perfect.
All right. Well, thank you for your insight and your time today. We've already taken up more than an hour, so we appreciate you checking in.
Yeah, Robbie, you're the man, dude. And I appreciate the hell out of you. I'm really, really proud and just fucking stoked for you to see how far you've come and how far you still have yet to go. You're going to have a long career in this, and we really appreciate you for taking an hour out of your day to just sit down and kind of bullshit with us. That's all this is. We're just bullshitting.
Anytime, man. It's always good to shoot the shit. Fucking love you guys, man. It's always fun to do stuff with you. So,
and just know, no matter how many TikTok views you get, a NASCAR driver by the name of Michael Shoemaker will always be 29th on the list, and you are not on it. So,
right on. I'll keep that in mind.
Yet is the key word.
Perfect.
We're out of practice. But that was a pretty good episode. I know you got a jet. So any final things to say?
Final things to say. I fucking love Rob Roethler. That dude's the shit.
I could have predicted that. Wait, let me see the classic T-Bird sign off. One of my favorite riders that I ever get to hang out with. It's just
I can't help it if I feel that way about the majority of the snowboard community, Mark.
Wow. A lot of positive energy.
I knew that going into this episode that it would fly by. And that's when you know it's a good guest, is when you look at the clock and you're like, holy shit, we've got an hour and 10 minutes and it feels like 25. So I kind of knew that going in. But yeah, sitting down and chatting with Rob was an absolute pleasure. And I have to admit, Mark, it was really nice to see you again. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I do.
Wow. Yeah. I see you every day. We just haven't recorded a podcast in a while.
It's different when you see each other in this medium, though. It feels more official, and I'm just very, very grateful for you, Mark.
Yeah, we're just a big podcast family, and thank you so much to all the family members that are listening out there. We should maybe have a meetup one day where we all just meet on the hill, and it's just cupcakes and rainbows.
All right, buddy. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'm sure I'll FaceTime you later.
Sounds good. Later.
Later.